In this video, I'll be going over rules 3 and 4, once again, in 7.1, chapter 7, section number 1. Rule 3 is hypothetical syllogism, for short, we'll just simply abbreviate it HS. And rule number 4 is disjunctive syllogism, for short, DS. And unlike the text, I'll take these in reverse order, starting with number 4, and then going on to rule number 3, hypothetical syllogism. So for now, DS, disjunctive syllogism. The good news about disjunctive syllogism is that it's the only rule in 7.1 that involves the wedge, only one that involves an or statement. So this one, for now at least, will be rather easy to spot. If you've got a wedge statement that you need to break apart, then of course it's going to have to be disjunctive syllogism, as that's the only rule presently that deals with the wedge. So let's start just as we did before in going over modus ponens and modus tollens. Let's start with the visual explanation. Once again, I'll use capital A's and B's, whereas the book uses lowercase p's and q's. But as always, don't let this confuse you. These variables are just simply placeholders standing in place of a proposition. So the visual explanation of disjunctive syllogism is as follows. We need something like this, A or B. We also need the negation of the first disjunct, not A, and what we're allowed to get out is the second disjunct, B. So that's the visual explanation, but again, as always, the verbal explanation is much more important. The visual explanation of disjunctive syllogism, DS, is as follows. On some line, any line will do, we need a wedge statement, where the wedge is the main logical operator. All of these rules of inference here in 7.1 revolve around spotting the main logical operator. So on some line, any line will do, the main logical operator has to be the wedge. On some other line, any line will do, we'll say line number 2, we need the negation of the first disjunct. First disjunct, second disjunct. In this case, the first disjunct is A, so to get the negation of that first disjunct, we just simply add a tilde to whatever's there. In this case, it would be not A. But again, condition number 1, wedge statement, where the wedge is the main logical operator. Condition number 2, the negation of the first has to be the first disjunct. The first disjunct. And what we're allowed to get out as a result of doing disjunctive syllogism, if those two conditions are met, what we can get out is the second disjunct. In our first example, that would be B. Now the negation of the second disjunct would just simply the second disjunct by itself, whatever it should be. So that's the verbal explanation. Again, two conditions need to be met, just as was the case for modus ponens and modus tollens. This time we need a wedge statement, not a horseshoe statement, but a wedge statement, where the main logical operator is a wedge. We also need the negation of the first disjunct. The negation of the first disjunct, and if we have those two, what we're allowed to get out is the second disjunct by itself. Again, not the negation of the second disjunct, but just simply the second disjunct by itself. So let's once again go through a complex case of disjunctive syllogism. This first one was fairly straightforward, just a generic visual explanation. Let's see some, quickly here, let's see some more complex cases of disjunctive syllogism. Again, refer to the shaded boxes in 7.1 to see yet more cases of DS in action. Suppose that on some line, and as always, the ordering of the lines here doesn't make a difference at all. But suppose on some line we have something like this. A and B in parentheses, or not C triple bar B in parentheses. First condition is met, many operators here, but the main logical operator is the one roughly in the middle. It is in fact the wedge. So condition number 1, and that's necessary to pull off DS, has in fact been met. We've got a wedge statement. Say on line number 2, that we've got not parentheses A and B. Here, condition number 2 of disjunctive syllogism has been met. The negation of the first disjunct. Our first disjunct, everything to the left of that main operator in line number 1. Our first disjunct is A and B, and here in line number 2 we have the negation of that, with a tilde on the outside of the parentheses, negating the entire statement, not A and B. And what we're allowed to get out is the second disjunct. In this case, the second disjunct is everything to the right of that operator, to the right of the wedge, not C triple bar B in parentheses. So that's precisely what we get out. Not the negation of that statement, but that statement itself, which is already, you'll notice, negated. but don't let the tildes confuse you here. We just simply get out the second disjunct, whatever it should be. In this case, not, parentheses, C triple bar B. So that is disjunctive syllogism. First, the generic visual explanation, and secondly, the much more important verbal explanation. Wedge statement, negation of the first disjunct, and we get out the second disjunct by itself, whatever it should be. Real easy to spot, at least here in the early going, at least in 7.1, because DS is the only one that deals around the wedge statement. You've got a wedge statement, think to yourself, prime candidate for disjunctive syllogism. As long as those two conditions are met, you can pull it off.